Today's evening prayer will be delivered by Deanna Baker, officially in church.
Let's pray again. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for who you are. We thank you that we just get the opportunity to come before you now in prayer. Thank you for the men and the women that are in this room that are willing to come and to guide the city. We lift up North Canton to you now in our prayers. Help guide us, direct us, give us your wisdom, and help us to walk in step with you as we make decisions for your city, North Canton. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call roll.
Member Wyrick.
Here.
Member Owens.
Here.
Member Matheny.
Here.
Member Warren.
Here.
Member Peters.
Here.
Member McLeister.
Here.
Member Orr.
Here.
7 present.
Is there a motion to approve as presented the minutes from October 6, 2025, Committee of the Whole, and October 13, 2025, City Council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? At this time, council would like to invite city administration to the floor to present the graduates of the 2025 Civic Leadership Academy.
Well, our mayor is going to present certificates. If you all could kind of stand along the back area, I think he's going to hand them out back there. And I'll just tell a little bit about our very first Civic Leadership Academy, which was a 6-month learning program for residents about the functions of local government and city departments. So we started this back in May, and here we are 6 months later. You know, they journeyed around throughout all of the functional departments of the city. They were 3 hours long. We had a lecture part where they learned a little bit in classroom, and then we did fun hands-on things. They, went up the ladder truck at the fire department. They went on a ride along with the police department. They saw how dispatch worked. The water distribution department showed them what it actually looks like when a water main break happens. They can repair one now. They heard the street department. They were up in the plow trucks. We had our session at City Hall where they learned about the building department and engineering and permits and how local government functions. And now here they are with council. So everyone in the program we have here is Santana Lopez, and then we have Brian Miner, and then next after that is Kevin Jones, and then Kathleen Kreitz, and then we have Jeff Stalker, Holly Pierpont, and Matt Rohrbaugh. And we thank them for the commitment, the 6 months they gave. We were going to make them all go to the podium and talk for 5 minutes on what they learned, or but collectively, I think as a group, they did a great job. They're getting their certificates as the first class of doing this. I don't know if anyone want to add anything, or did you like it? Was it good? We have a survey that's going to go to them. So, and if you guys,
I would love to hear that one thing that stood out the most to each of you.
All right, well, down the line.
Matt, what stood out to you?
Doing a U-turn in the Apple Grove voices.
Yes.
Okay, got 2 for that.
Okay.
Just the people that work for the city that you don't ever get to meet. I mean, they're all heroes. You just don't hear about everything. So that was exciting.
And I was blown away by the level of expertise that everyone had in their departments, and then the cross functionality across departments. The amount of teamwork is amazing.
Yeah, it's the amount of coverage that comes from the city with the limited amount of people. Like in every department, it was very impressive.
The knowledge across multiple groups that you guys have, everyone knows what they're doing, like very, very well.
So I love all of their holistic sort of answers. I'm going to zero in on something very specific and just I think how cheap water is. The sophistication of that system, I think is really, really impressive.
Yeah, I just think all the things that we take for granted on a daily basis, such as, police, EMS, the water treatment. I just really like diving in and learning more about all of that.
Thank you for sharing.
Congratulations.
Congrats. I I would also be remiss if I did not say Jennifer Cross from our administration department, who's here tonight, had a lot to do with it in running every session. And, you know, we're hoping that in the future, she's going to lead this a little more. And we're going to ask you for feedback, how you felt, how, you know, and if we have to tweak it in any way. But Jennifer did a great job and she's continued to do a great job leading this. Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay.
And you can stay for the meeting or go. We won't judge either way.
Right.
I think all graduates have to.
Mayor is making it a requirement.
Right. No extra stars on the certificate. Okay. Okay, at this time, council would like to invite Atnet Plus to the floor to speak on the city's cybersecurity standards.
Well, as you guys know from last week, you know, from the committee meeting, we did talk about the mandate from the auditor's office, which we are responding to. And AtNet being our provider, our IT services provider for 7 years now, stepped up to this, and we're going to speak briefly about just what they're providing us with that.
We'll make some quick
Intros.
introductions. I'm Cameron Stephen, Chief Experience and Technology Officer at AtNet Plus. For any of you who do not know who AtNet Plus is, we're a managed service provider based out of Stowe, right off of Steele's Corner. So we provide all of the IT things, I'll call it, for the city of North Canton: network infrastructure, server, service desk, cybersecurity, project work, new implementations.
My name is Rich Casto. I'm the Client Success Manager for North Canton. Been working with you guys all 7 years for the most part, right? So I just thought it was kind of cool though, because actually our kids go to North Canton schools, so it's school districts for North Canton. So like a little perk for me. You know, my orange and raised a little bit free.
Good job. Good job, Rich. You know.
And I'm Nick Wood here. I am the cybersecurity operations manager for AtNet Plus. I sort of authored this whole cybersecurity policy that you are going to hear about today. So this encompasses all of the requirements that Keith Faber, the Auditor of State, had required in August 2025. A number of things go into this. You know, there's a cybersecurity framework that you all have to adopt. Stringent requirements on reporting cybersecurity incidents, things like that. Along with, you know, some of the controls that are in place that protect and secure your guys' networking environment. To keep the bad guys out. That's the goal, right? So keep you all up and running. And if something does happen that's bad, you know, you all are offline for a period of time. We have a way of getting you all back up. So.
We've appreciated their assistance for the past 7 years. They said we're in a managed service agreement. That is everything. We're better off today than we were 7 years ago. When they first came in, there was a lot of work to do to get us to where we are now. Does anyone have any questions for them on what they're?
I have a question just out there because of where I work and things that we go through for cybersecurity and training and stuff like that. And I don't know if it's even possible if city administration and others on computers can access their own personal email, like my personal Gmail. And how do you protect from that, or do they not have access?
That's a great question. So we do not prevent access to local, to your personal emails. You know, we try not to overstep. We don't want to say what you can and cannot do on, you know, organizational computers. Typically, if you were to click something bad in your own personal email, it would probably only affect your personal email, not the rest of your, you know, network. We do have layered defenses in place where if something did make it through, it's most likely going to get stopped, and if not, we get alerted to it. So, you know, we do not access a personal email.
Okay, just curious because any portal in is bad people try to find those. So
absolutely.
That's why I was asking. Thank you.
I do have a question. So you've been supplying services for us for 7 years. In light of the new mandate, what are some of the big changes? Or are there any?
Realistically, there isn't too many big changes. The biggest change I would think is the requirement on how you report a cybersecurity incident to the Ohio Auditor of State. Mainly being, I'm assuming everybody here has known or heard about what ransomware is. If ransomware was to occur and encrypt servers, workstations, making you all not be able to work. there are new requirements in place for how City of North Canton can respond to that. They can't just go and pay the ransom without, getting approval, and, going through the auditor state and things like that. So, that's the biggest change. Everything else, we've already been added. It's already been there. You all have been kind of doing it as just the way you work.
It's a good thing. It wasn't a big change, right? So we structure our tools, our cybersecurity. We always follow these frameworks. So when that mandate came out, it's like, oh, we have to cross off a couple extra boxes regarding policies and some of the things Nick discussed. But as far as the tool sets behind the scenes, we didn't have to make.
You guys we were.
Yeah, and I'd love to dive into the details on that, but obviously there's.
Yeah, we were ahead of the game. We were just recently, all of us were down at Ohio Municipal League, and it was a topic. And there, you could see the little villages and other cities that were going, where do we begin? And we were like, a lot of the things they were saying, we're like, thankfully, we have already been doing. So, like you said, we were just shoring it up.
I know the one thing highlighted for me was mostly legislative, like the ransomware, paying rent, whatever. It had to be in the open meeting.
Right.
You couldn't do anything behind closed doors at that point. So from a legislative standpoint, that was really the only change that I saw on its face, but I wasn't sure if there was something else that I was missing. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the municipal league seminars, that was a big discussion point, the legislation that there's no backroom deals anymore. You'd have to report it. I think that was one of the most important things about it.
And exempting things from public records requests. I think that was really key too, to have that in there, that nobody can request certain things about the plan. Jamie, did you still have something?
You can go first.
Oh, just to add to security discussion, one of the things I really wanted to commend AdNet Plus for is they do a lot of great training with our staff. So there's a lot of online videos and training modules, and I think that's one of the most important parts of the security is to train employees so we're not clicking on that bad link or that email that looks too good to be true. So they really do a nice job with that, and it's been very good for our staff.
See, I was just gonna ask, you hit on what I was gonna ask. So if you take a look at all the names of all the elected officials up here, who has clicked on?
Oh, we know.
We
all know. We get a report.
But the dog looks so cute.
Don't make me say.
I didn't think it was lost.
That information's
Who's
classified.
your Amazon delivery that got you?
But my free prep, come on.
What other municipalities do you do? City of Twinsburg, Village of Garrettsville, City of Canal Fulton.
We do some limited work for, City of Stowe, Fairlawn.
Pretty cool.
I believe we were your first municipality. So,
Thank you. Yeah.
you're welcome to the others. But back to that testing, we always say we're only as strong as our weakest link. So that's what we are looking for is like, who does need a little extra training when you do click on those suspicious
Super
ones.
important. We know it's annoying at times, but that is also the weakest link as humans when it comes to cybersecurity, right? We can put all the layers in place possible, but at the end of the day, it comes back to the end user. All it takes is a phone call and someone asking you for your username and password. All those tools you can throw out the window. So user training, super important.
Is there one that you can just think of, like most recently, that's hit people that, like a few months ago, maybe it's still happening, is, everyone's getting the toll booth one, and right? So is there something that you've seen recently where you're like, people are kind of getting conned, that just a little PSA right now?
Is a realistic, real life scenario.
Yeah.
DocuSign links going out.
Ooh, yeah, that would be a good one.
I think that's
Especially if you're buying a house.
If it looks legitimate,
Yeah.
it comes from somebody that you trust. That's usually how it happens. A vendor, a known good contact. They send you the email because they click the bad link, and now they're sending it to you, and then you're like, oh, hey, I work with this person. Let's click on the link and see what they want. And you wouldn't think to do that because usually you're signing something confidential or binding in some way, but people do it. That's the most common one.
Okay. Appreciate that.
You can be fooled a lot by SharePoint, reconfigure SharePoint and re-enter your credentials, OneDrive. So be careful of those ones too. Even though oh yeah, I have that, I can do this. Not necessarily true.
Well, thank you for putting our cybersecurity policy standards in place.
Yes.
We feel safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, council would like to invite Council Clerk Liam to the floor to present the findings of the 2025 community survey.
Okay, since I run the presentation, I'll just do it from right here. But I am here to talk about the 2025 community survey that my office conducted from May to August. We ran from, I think it's the second week of May till the second week of August, which is the standard survey period that we run every year, or every other year. So every odd numbered year, we conduct this survey. And it goes out to everybody in the city and a couple people outside, just to get their thoughts on what's going on in the city and what they would like to see improved. So just kind of looking at the overall high 1,000-foot view. So we had 594 responses for this survey period, with a assumed confidence interval of 95%, with a 3% margin of error. And among the respondents, 86% were homeowners. So just due to the nature of the way that the survey goes out by paper in the North Canton Sun for this particular edition, that disproportionately gets sent to renters. It may or may not reach their actual address. But it was also available online, so we did catch people that way. So it just kind of depends, but we got 86% homeowners. So looking at some demographics from the areas of the city that people responded from, it's relatively even, across each ward basically. And then outside the city only accounted for 9% of responses, and only 3% were not sures. Most of the time, the not sures were people that submitted a paper survey but didn't fill out what part of the city are you from, so those just automatically get marked as not sure. From an age perspective, 45% of the population of this survey was over 55, and they only account for about, it's like 38 or 39% per census data. So we do oversample the older populations, and that's typical across every survey. And the most, in my opinion, disappointing statistic is that we only got 1% on the 18 to 24s. And I'll get into it in a little bit, but part of that does play into the fact that this survey period goes out while Walsh is on their summer break. And that's around 2,000 people that we're not reaching that fall in that 18 to 24. So it's just something to consider for the future. There we go. So looking at respondents by age over time. So this year we did hit our peak. We're the brown trend line right here for 2025. We did hit our peak in the 35 to 44s, accounting for about 25% of responses. But you can see, we're pretty even across in the older generations, but you do really start down at the bottom in your younger age brackets, anybody under the age of 35. So before we get into all of the data, just kind of looking at some of the weaknesses. The first is that the total responses of 594 is the lowest in the survey's history. And that is not through lack of trying. So this went out in the mailed summer 2025 edition of the North Canton Sun. I believe we reach around 10 or 12,000 addresses.
12,000.
Yeah, just under 12,000 addresses. It was also posted multiple times to the city social media pages. We also took in-person responses at the 720 Market and Main Street Festival. Between the two in-person response opportunities, I think I got less than 30. I put them on special colored sheets so I could tabulate them separately. It was less than 30. And so I sat out there, I think in combined, we all sat probably 10, 12 hours across both events, spread among everybody. And that's all we were able to drum up. And that's, at public events and stuff, people are so moving along with everything. So that's to be expected. Again, Walsh's 2,000 plus students are largely excluded from this survey just because it runs through their summer recess, and that contributes to the undersampling of the 18 to 24 population. And then we'll get into this a little bit later as we get into some of the free-form responses. There were many non-committal answers to a lot of questions. So this could be interpreted as either a general satisfaction with what we're doing. People don't really have any suggestions. And it could also be interpreted as disinterest or apathy toward local government. People are just like, I'm not going to bother wasting my time putting this in. and, you know, or the perception that we're not gonna take those comments to heart, which for anybody listening, we do. We spend a lot of time on this survey and we love to hear your feedback. On a lot of times, especially in the free form responses, we get a lot of great ideas. That even if we don't specifically say, hey, that was mentioned in the survey, it's something that does factor into what we consider moving forward. Looking at things from a holistic overview of the city and its operations, as a composite rating, all of the city services, so everything from mayor and council to fire EMS, street paving, snow removal, all of that compiled together, we hit about 60% satisfaction. So people majorly are happy with where we're at and what we're doing. And then just another point of note, it's not on the graph, but the fire, EMS, and police consistently rate in the top 80s, and they chase each other for who's going to be the top for each survey. It does kind of bounce back and forth. Looking at quality of life. So 53% of respondents were pleased with the city's direction. 37% indicated that the quality of life in the city is increasing. And 21% stated that it's changing for the worse. And that can be attributed to a variety of factors. If I had to guess for this one, it's the result of issue 4 with the income tax increase. A lot of people feel very strongly about the tax rates, especially in light of property taxes with the recent revaluations. And even if those property taxes will be going down, people just have the general feeling that they're overtaxed. If I had to bet, that would probably be the contributing factor. Looking at the value for taxes, 56% were pleased with the value of their taxes, and that is an 8% decrease from 2023. Again, with issue 4 having passed, people might just have that slightly negative perception of the increase in taxes. 27% were displeased, which is a 10% increase from 2023, and the 45 to 54 age group was twice as likely to say that they were not getting a good value for their taxes. When asked if they were staying for 5 years, we had a slight decrease overall in the yes responses, and those under 35 were more likely to say maybe or no. But overall, 78% of people say they're going to stay here. 18% say maybe, and 4% say no. And then looking at it by age, your 18 to 24s were at 33%, and it gets much higher as you age. Just statistically speaking, especially over time, those do skew more towards the older populations. The longer you're here, the more likely you are to just stay here. So something to consider as we move forward, and it's consistently low among the 18 to 24s, is how do we get those people to stay here? Especially if we did branch out to Walsh University during their academic year and get their thoughts on similar questions. I would be interested to see, you know, what they feel about the North Canton area as they're graduating. You know, they go to school here for 4 years and then they take that education and go somewhere else. What can we do to look for that local talent that's being brought up here? And what can we do to get them to stay in the community? So getting into more of the communication side of things for public information, so the effectiveness of city communication. So since the 2023 survey, there have been a lot of changes in the way that we put things out, especially with our social media presence. We are much more active on social media than we used to be. And 64% of respondents reported that we are pretty effective in how we get our messages across. And that's up from 54% in 2023. So that's a pretty big jump. And overall, you know, it's much higher than we've ever been. So we did hit our peak here. So overall, I would say that people are pretty satisfied with the messages we're putting out and how we're putting them out. 20% felt that the communication was not effective, which is a 6% decrease from 2023, which is good numbers for us. Looking in terms of usage of the city website, 60% of respondents reported that they did use the website. 27% reported that they did not use the website, and then 13% found that it wasn't effective, so that they didn't really use it. And older respondents were more likely to have not visited the website, and that was to be expected. That is typical. They prefer more often than not paper forms of communication. So looking at your age distributions, you can see that that's pretty evident. Your younger generations, everybody under the age of 75 is more likely to have used the website, and then that drops pretty sharply as you get to the 75 plus crowd. And then looking across all age groups, the amount of have not used are roughly the same, so you either use it and love it or you don't use it at all. Looking at the preferred communication methods by age, as I mentioned before, among the older populations, they prefer the paper communications. Those are everybody over the age of 55, just statistically prefers the paper forms. And then those under 35 prefer electronic communications. And that middle age group was a pretty even mix. And ranking 1 to 5, the mailed newsletter was at number 1, so that would be the North Canton Sun. Email publications were at rank 2, social media at rank 3, text, SMS at rank 4, and the city's website was at last. In general, looking at this as well, people prefer the things that come directly to them, that they don't have to seek out. The city's website being the number 1 that you have to go look for to find. The city's Facebook pages, you know, most of the important information is right there on the landing. You can just scroll through. You don't have to click any extra links or search for anything in particular. And then text SMS ranks low, mostly because a lot of people don't like getting text messages. It's just one of those, if your phone dings with a text message, you're expecting it to be a loved one or a friend. And so then whenever it's something from your local government, you're just kind of deleting that one. But otherwise, in general, people want the things that just come right to their door or right to their inboxes. Getting more into the policy side of things and some of the policy initiatives the city's working on or just kind of workshopping to get public opinion on. Some developments on Main Street. One of the questions was asking if people would support the narrowing of Main Street to accommodate on-street parking. And that was overwhelmingly voted no at 87%, with 9% saying yes, and then 4% having no opinion. So even though this is a very small sample size that I would not consider to be statistically viable, if you were going to take one big takeaway from it is that don't narrow Main Street to accommodate on-street parking, which as a main thoroughfare, I wouldn't disagree, but it's just something that we workshopped and proposing just as other cities have done in the past. And then looking at the types of improvements that people wanted to see on Main Street, the largest, and this speaks to the apathy that I discussed before and the weaknesses, is that 185 people had no opinion at all. So they could just be generally happy with the appearance of Main Street, or they are just apathetic to any potential improvements at all. Among those who responded, the greatest was in upgraded or new businesses along the Main Street corridor, followed by updates to the Hoover Building, improvements to traffic and walkability, and improvement or maintenance of green spaces, whether that's new green spaces or ones we already have. One of the most telling questions that we get is the breadth and depth by asking how would you spend $10? So this is a kind of a ranked choice thing. If you have up to 10, you know, what points would you assign where? And among that, we had the greatest breadth of support for street paving and the lowest breadth of support for improvements to city-owned rental facilities, things like the Dogwood Shelter and all the shelters at the parks. So with that, your paving total was at 1,214 points assigned to it, and then followed by improvements to playgrounds, maintenance of the public pool, on public safety services. And then towards the bottom with the rentals was the addition of a dog park. Into some more developments, the investment in a community pool. So this is specifically using tax revenue to finance the operations of a city-owned pool. Generally, that is accepted with 60% voting in favor, 25% saying no, and 12% having no opinion. And then looking at a specific question that we've asked in the past of whether or not to encourage the owners of the West Factory to tear it down, 47% said that they would like to see it kept if at all possible. 40% voting yes, and 13% having no opinion. And the last survey, it was much closer to 50-50. I actually think it might have been 51 and 49, but it was a much closer, but the increase in no opinions might just be people say, whatever happens with it, I just want to see something done to it. So getting into some of the more open-ended questions, these were tallied up with a word cloud. So on a word cloud, the words that are larger are the ones that were more frequently answered. So this was specifically related to business developments on the types of new businesses that people would like to see in the city overall. Again, the largest amount of responses were in, not applicable, no answer, not sure, something to that effect. But among those that were actually answered, the most popular were restaurants, retail, manufacturing, and locally owned or small businesses. Getting into some policy initiative ideas. So specific cultural or artistic initiatives, again, in all of these, the non-committal answer was most frequently taken. And that could be people just didn't want to write something down or they genuinely didn't have any thoughts. But among those who answered, entertainment, public art displays, festivals and activities, those things consistently ranked high, as well as green spaces, family-friendly activities, local businesses, and things for seniors. And that was across artistic and cultural, amenities that they see in other cities. Another one that we heard a lot was amphitheater, or some sort of outdoor venue, because a lot of people wanted in the events and activities were like concerts and things of that nature. Same thing in community programming, more festivals, more family-friendly activities, things that get people out into the community. So then one of my favorite questions on this survey is something I think we'll keep doing. I really wanted to see when people were asked in 1 or 2 word answers, how would they describe North Canton? So when asked for the greatest strength, the largest answers were in community, safety, the people, the schools, and the public services provided. When asked about the greatest weakness, they said economic development, the Hoover complex, their local government, a general loss of focus, traffic concerns, a variety of answers. Taxes was also pretty big too. And then when asked to describe the community in 1 word, other than not sure, we got a lot in welcoming, friendly, good, community, family-oriented. So in general, most of those are positive. We did have, small but not infrequent amounts of negative opinions, which is to be expected. And that's what you do really want to see. You don't just want to see the big letters that are all good and everything's great. You want to see what people are saying that's negative, things that we can improve as we move forward. And then the last question on the survey is just say, do you have any additional comments? We just kind of went through and summarized for the top 4, traffic, walkability, tax rate concerns, whether income or property tax based, and the West Factory developments. Other than that, you are able to view the results at northcantonohio.gov/survey. And I will also be putting out the full, I think it's around 25-page report that we put together that really gets into everything. And all of that's available. When you go to the survey right now, just because the report's not posted yet, it's just kind of everything thrown out. And it does put together some dashboards and graphs for you. But once I post the actual survey report, you'll be able to read it in more detail. Other than that, I just want to thank the community leaders and residents for participating in the survey process and looking forward to more responses in the future. We'll be back in 27.
Thanks, Liam. Good job, Liam. And thank you to our intern, Alicia.
Yep, Alicia was very helpful in the whole process, but I do also want to shout out my spring and summer interns. They helped me out a lot. Grace Santee, she helped with the foundational part of the survey. And then Abby DeLong and Sabrina Estevez both helped me during the summer with tabulating data. And that is a big job, especially when the paper surveys come in and you got to sit and read through everybody's responses and manually type everything in, because that's just how we get all of our data into one place. So yeah, they were instrumental in helping me get this done. So I just wanted to give them a shout out.
Now in 2027, how do you want to change the survey so we can include Wall students?
So I don't know if it's a matter of we just do the survey during the academic year, or if we want to specifically target the university, as a Walsh partner, through the, what is it? Is it just the Walsh Community Partner Program? What's it called? We can try to take advantage of that town and gown relationship to establish some sort of survey period, whether that's we're on campus or we're just able to send something to the university of, hey, send this out to your students, or a mix of both. Something that we can do to kind of harness those 18 to 24s.
Do we really want to do that? Because most of those students from Walsh come from other places.
Sure, but they do spend 4 years here. And then what can we do to keep that talent that's being educated here in this area? Even if it's you end up working in another community, but you live here and then you support the local initiatives, or vice versa.
We'd have to do a lot of other things along with that. Do we have enough housing?
Oh, agreed.
Community development, getting jobs here.
And those are the kind of things that we would probably get out of that survey is, more accessibility of affordable housing for young people, trying to increase opportunities to buy houses here, economic factors of bringing in businesses. As a Walsh student myself, that didn't grow up here, but I came up here for 4 years. I was a commuter student. I would have loved to have gotten that feedback from the city as well, that they're looking to keep me in the area too. And it was just by chance, by the grace of God, that I ended up back here. And I'm grateful for it, and I'd like to see that for other people as they graduate college as well.
And then the other thing, what about other communities who do a survey like us, where they have a college? So maybe I'm thinking maybe Worcester, for example. Though they have a lot more manufacturing jobs over in the Worcester area than we do, but have you checked other communities?
I haven't. If all, being out in the open about it, I haven't looked at what other communities do, but as we kind of look forward to how we can get more 18 to 24s, that's definitely something that I'm going to do. Try and reach out to the university, see what they think would be the best method, because they're going to know their students. Just in my mind, there are just over 2,100 people that we really aren't reaching. When 1% that shows up on the survey graph actually boils down to 9 responses. I had 9 responses in 18 to 24. So that is a woeful undersampling of the young people in our community.
Yeah, and I think we'll look at that as part of our after action review on that, because kind of building on what you were saying, it kind of depends on what you want to get out of the survey. Like if you want it more to reflect what people who are more permanently in the community think, then the way that we did this one is probably generally what you want to do. On the other hand, if you want a snapshot of all the age groups, you probably want to do it. Like, for example, the Census Bureau, the reason that the census is every April 1st is so people are counted where they are on April 1st. And a big part of the choosing of that date is to have college students like at school and counted in the community. Because you think about a community like Kent, if the census didn't count students there, Kent would go from 27,000 people to probably 7,000 people. So it kind of is all in the philosophy of what you're trying to get out of it. And when we were talking earlier at our staff meeting, I mean, there's pros and cons to each approach, and that's something I think it would make sense if any of you or council members in particular, if you have strong feelings about it one way or the other, let us know, because I think we'll work that into how we design it next time.
Mm-hmm. We do, I heard your point, John, that, that they're not permanent residents, they're college students, but we do want to ascertain how are they experiencing our community while they are here. So it might be a different way that their survey is structured to see if, like we've said, how are they experiencing? Do they want to stay when they graduate? Or is this experience been just only college and they're moving on? So we can look into that for sure.
And like Liam said, if we want, we wouldn't have to do either or. We could always do a Walsh focused survey period and just see what that comes up with, maybe next year or something like that. So.
And we could look to do it in every even year, go to the university, and then in the odd year, we're taking the broader community as a whole.
But thank you and your staff.
Absolutely.
This is a lot of work.
It is many hours and many hours in Power BI. For those of you who know Power BI, you know how much of a challenge that can be.
Nice job in this report. Okay. There is nobody on the list. Speaking to legislation on the agenda tonight. We will move to old business. Liam, will you please read the title of resolution 64-2025?
A resolution declaring city council support of the Ohio Commission for the United States Semi-Quincentennial.
We have heard about it and we want to be a part of it. Is there a motion to adopt second reading of resolution 54-2025?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's a resolution moved. Liam, will you please read the title of resolution 56-2025?
A resolution to acknowledge the rates and fees utilized to establish the budget for the 2026 fiscal year.
Yes, okay, so this one, 57 and 58 were all discussed in committee. Second reading, there are no questions or additions from finance. Is there a motion to adopt for second reading of resolution 5625?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Liam, will you please read the title of ordinance 57-2025?
An ordinance amending various provisions of Chapter 155 Personnel Regulations of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Canton to modify various personnel rules and regulations and the titles and compensation levels of certain personnel effective January 1st, 2026.
Is there any questions? Is there a motion?
Yes. That's okay. Is there a motion to amend ordinance 57-2025 as proposed?
That's the 2.8% instead of 2.7% that the COLA came out for in the midst of this. I'll make a motion to amend ordinance 57-2025, Zach Colon.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Is there a motion to adopt the second reading of ordinance 57-2025 as amended?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Moved. Okay, Liam, will you please read the title of ordinance 58-2025?
An ordinance authorizing appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures, temporary advances, and one-time permanent transfers of monies made to various funds for the period beginning January 1st, 2026 and ending December 31st, 2026.
Okay, this is the last one, second reading. Any questions? If not, is there a motion to adopt second reading of ordinance 5825?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved. All right, Liam, will you please read the title of ordinance 59-2025?
An ordinance amending Chapter 140 Department of Development Services of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Canton in order to clarify the title of Director of Permits and Development Services.
Chairperson McKinney.
Yes, so this is adding that as part of the title, I guess, ordinance 11-2021 established the Department of Developmental Services, and this will remove confusion by combining the two titles. Any questions from council?
Is there a motion to adopt the second reading of ordinance 59-2025?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Eight. Under new business, Liam, will you please read the title of ordinance 60-2025?
An ordinance amending ordinance 55-2025 titled An Ordinance Authorizing the Mayor of the City of North Canton to enter into a contract for professional auction services for the sale of vehicles and equipment that are obsolete or unfit for public use or not needed for municipal purposes and declaring the same to be an emergency. To add an additional vehicle that is obsolete or unfit for public use or not needed for municipal purposes to the professional auction services contract and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Exactly how it's
Yes. Okay, is there a motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance 60-2025?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Is there a motion to suspend the rules of council requiring three readings?
Motion to suspend.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And finally, is there a motion to adopt ordinance 60-2025 under suspension of the rules?
Motion to adopt.
Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Sell those vehicles. Won't talk about it anymore. Okay, Liam, will you please read the title of ordinance 61-2025?
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance of the City of North Canton to make final appropriation amendments for current expenses and related one-time advances and/or permanent transfers of monies made to various funds needed during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and within the available resources in order to balance and close the fiscal year.
All right, Jim, you touched on this in the committee meeting, but she was here. You want to kind of review one more time?
Yeah, so, every year, at the end of the year, we get the approval of council to make adjustments to the budget to close out the year and true up
Okay.
appropriations.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
any questions?
Council?
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance 61-2025?
So moved.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And Liam, will you please read the title of resolution 62-2025?
A resolution directing the mayor of the city of North Canton through the city's managed IT services provider to set and adopt standards safeguarding against cybersecurity threats and ransomware attacks and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Well, we were fortunate enough to have AtNet Plus here tonight, and thank you for inviting them to clear up any questions there might be, making sure that we are compliant with ordinance 9.64 from the state. And I think everybody's confident that we're where we need to be, and we've got the right company doing that. So,
Yep. And it's great having them in, as you said tonight, so.
yes.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the first reading of resolution 62-2025?
So moved.
Second, is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And is there a motion to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings?
Motion to suspend.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And is there a motion to adopt resolution 62-2025 under suspension of the rules?
Motion to adopt.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approves. Okay, Liam, will you please read the preamble for recognition of the public?
At this time, members of the public who have signed up to address City Council will be called to do so. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes. Speakers shall be called in the order they signed up. During this section, comments shall be limited to items reasonably under the city's authority. The rules for speaking and the speaker's time will appear on the screens. After you have finished speaking, please remain at the podium to answer questions from the officials of the day. This will serve as the final warning for all speakers. Any violation of the rules will result in ejection from the premises.
Holly Fairclough, 333 Winston Avenue Northeast. Just real quick, I know we had the recognition ceremony for the Civic Leadership Academy earlier in the meeting, but I'd be remiss not to publicly thank the following people for 6 fantastic months of education and experiences. I would go home each time and share with my kids, and they said, "Mom, this was the ultimate touch-a-truck experience," and it was. And so I got to do some great things along with some of the others in the room. I know they're going to share these same sentiments, so I'll go ahead and try to speak on their behalf as well. To the North Canton Police Department Chief Frank Kemp and Assistant Chief Police Matthew Buzzard, Officer Phil Taylor, I got to do the ride along with him, and Santana left the room, but it was high intensity doing the work together. My favorite canine Kona for all of the snuggles we received while observing dispatch. North Canton Fire Department Chief of Fire EMS Drew Kramer and Assistant Chief Bryant Scheffler. Randy Fraser and the folks at Norcom Safety Dispatch. Brian Hill, Superintendent of Parks and Water Distribution. Steve Shank, Parks Op Manager. Ted Martinez, Superintendent of Drinking Water Treatment Plant. Jamie Martin, Water Distribution Ops Manager. Matt Morrow, Superintendent of Streets and Sewer. Catherine and Jason from the city, we just met with over the weekend. Martin Van Gundy, Chief Building Officials. Rob Graham, Engineering, and Gina and Jim in Finance. And Jennifer, you did take on this program as there was a huge transition and you did a fabulous job with it, so thank you. Again, you should absolutely continue this program. I signed up for it with no aspirations at the time, just wanting to be a nosy citizen. And I got that experience to the extreme, so please continue that for the community.
That's great,
Thank
thank you. You answered my question, because I know I know how labor intensive it was. And one of the questions they said is, should we continue this? Well, it's
Absolutely.
kind of Ben's project, it was kind of his baby. And I know you were wondering that, so. good answer.
And if any of you have never had any of these department visits, like to the extreme that we have, you should do them. Yeah, it's great.
And if citizens wanted to do that, if they had to call and say, could we meet with this person or that, are they able to do that?
You have to understand how much, it has to be planned because city operations do have to happen. And this was a lot of planning to have the guys kind of stop at a work day or find a good stopping point. And so it's more difficult.
Yes.
It's not something that, it's readily available, but we can, ride-alongs and things like that, as long as we can account for a schedule for it,
Right.
not just surprise visits.
Thank you. Okay, Matt Rorbach.
We're about 217 Hallam Street Southwest, North Canton. I too want to thank everybody for the experience. I don't have the listing of all the people like Holly did, but it was a great experience. And I forgot when they asked the question, not only did I get to do the ride along and pull somebody over, but the fire department, the chiefs, they were a little hesitant, but they allowed me to revisit my firefighting days and get about halfway up the ladder there before they started really getting shaky, but they geared me up and gave me the ladder belt. So that was great. Reason I'm up here tonight though is, actually I've got two things now. A question. I had the pleasure of attending the Meet the Candidates on Wednesday night at the, what's it called now? Champions or whatever, it used to be Knights of Columbus. And I heard it there, and I've also seen it online a couple times. And now, and then after watching the survey tonight, makes me question, I've heard the term Main Street collaboration and city square revitalization. And I've got an understanding through the grapevine, there's been meetings with people. So what is this? Because people I've talked to have not seen any public notification or anything, or even heard of it until this come up the other day. So what is the Main Street collaboration?
I'm not sure I've heard of that. I mean, the Heritage Ohio is the only thing I can think about.
That's what
Yeah.
we're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, it was mentioned at the thing, and I guess it was just, I just heard things. All right, and then secondly, 2 years ago, I was kind of, I don't want to say amused by the survey, but that one immediately, we did get presented like a master plan based off the results of the survey. That one, the same thing, said it went out to about 12,000 people, there was 12,000 possible. Did not make 10% of the citizens or possible people response. This year, even less. That one had a big presentation of turning city streets into parks and different things like that. So again, with substantially less than 10%, how much of this are we gonna actually use to move forward? Or we're gonna go, figure, well, this is majority of what people said, that we'll just kind of figure that's gonna carry on with that. But along with that, an ongoing thing has always been communication, and Liam had a good thing showing people wanted paper and different types of communication. Again, it was based on 590 some people or whatever. So, and you had people out at festivals and things of that nature. Still didn't get the people to do the survey. We had social media sites that were advertising it along with your own. So communication is always an issue. It was a question also on Wednesday night that brought to some people about communication. There were some interesting outside the idea of boxes. So maybe you want to speak with them, speak with people that were at that meeting to try and take a look at those outside the box ideas that some of them had. Because obviously we've got a lot of citizens here that know nothing. Most of you know, I have a Facebook page, try to get the word out to people, but that's very limited. And a couple of other groups, they vary, and what you hear and see about them. But again, obviously, either people just don't care in this city, because again, less than 10% response. Nobody here can actually, I'm not blaming anybody for that. just, you know, obviously go on beyond just what Liam got results of for potential communication and, figure out some outside the box ideas too, because we're not getting anywhere with the current. Thank you.
I can speak to the survey portion of it. 594 responses, you are correct. It is much less than 10%. It's actually 3.3%. And no, I would not consider it to be a statistically viable survey, just based on the count. Same thing as the original survey in 2009 had 1,300 responses, and we've never come that close again. So I would also consider that one to be an outlier. But just because those are outlying surveys doesn't mean that the responses put in them are completely, you know, awash and that we shouldn't think about them. Especially looking at the free-form responses, we always get some great ideas out of the free-form responses, and we did. A lot of people, when you ask them just outside the box of under complete anonymity, throw at me what you think is best. We do get a lot of good responses. So there are things that we can take to heart and move forward with from the survey. And, you know, certainly I can't speak on behalf of the whole of city administration, but there are a lot of things we can work on. And to your point about, you know, it's not necessarily anybody up here's fault. And same thing to the community. I can lead a horse to water. I can't make them take a survey. So, and that could speak to the apathy or that people are generally happy with things. It just kind of depends. Surveys, you're always going to get that, especially something that's that open-ended. People might see it, especially, you know, in the Sun, getting the paper survey. A lot of times people think that might be the penny saver and just throw it out. So that could be a contributing factor. And then the other ones, you more have to seek it out, whether that's through the survey link or through social media. So there are known faults with surveys, but it doesn't mean that the whole thing's, you know, invalid for us. But at the same time, we don't take it as gospel.
I didn't intend it as a criticism.
Oh, no.
Just, you know, the numbers, it's just.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a shame, actually, it's what it is.
I think you're right. I think that we need to rethink on how we're approaching people with the survey, because 594 responses is not acceptable. I mean, so, you know, I don't know if we're doing something wrong, but it certainly wasn't from lack of effort.
No.
And I like the questions. I thought the questions were good, and the data that we get is fantastic. I mean, the more responses we're going to get, the more helpful it's going to be to everybody. So it's a shame that there's not much more participation, but maybe we need to think about, you know, we had a committee in the past. We had more participation with that. There's got to be something else we can do to get this better response.
Well, if you look at our age of a population, right? So you have an older population, so maybe not just getting it in the Sun, maybe they need it mailed if that's what they said they want. Is that hard copy that maybe makes it more noticeable and not just a throw away? But you also have, with that older population, they don't respond to surveys quite as often as others. You know, and maybe you kind of have to look at too is, well, how many people are registered to vote? Okay, so maybe you're not going to get that, and then kind of keep filtering down, you know, what that looks like.
If I could weigh in too, and Matt, I'm glad you brought this up because I did have some questions myself. As far as this survey not being statistically viable, I would disagree with that because when you go down to, you mentioned when they had the questions, there was no opinion or NA or whatever, and that was described almost as apathy or whatever, but they were taking the survey. So there was no apathy in that. They just, maybe they thought that wasn't bad, wasn't good, somewhere in the middle. As the old adage goes, I've lived in this town for a long time. If I call police or fire, they're there in 2 minutes. Roads are getting plowed in the wintertime, trash is getting picked up. That's all I need. I elect you guys to handle the rest of the stuff.
Absolutely.
So, yes, I think it was statistically viable. I really do. I think you can, if you look at it from a different perspective, you're getting a little more than what you think you are. And Matt, you mentioned communication, and maybe it wasn't getting to the people to take it. They just didn't. They're happy. They don't. I mean, there's nothing really chopped up.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just for this, it's for everything we've constantly talked about.
Yeah.
Communication as a whole. I mean, look at the turnout. You see the same faces over and over.
Over and over.
And,
this is a lot more than one.
you know, even when, you know, the people, I think we had, what, about 50 maybe? 50?
Last week, yeah.
Yeah, and so, you know, even then, everybody was inviting them, hey, come to council, you know, you can't do this, come to council.
Well, you highlight all the tools you use to communicate, and is there anything, what are you missing? Is there any other way, other than, well, yeah, I guess, but this is a weekly town hall.
Yeah,
Right. We've tried those before.
we have tried them.
With coffee with the councilman.
That was for,
No.
We still have it.
We still have it.
Well, yeah, that,
Recorded.
right.
yeah.
And we've had,
We have 5 people.
we've had lunch with the councilman, we've had dinner. You know, different purposes.
What?
I was gonna say, I'll have a dinner with you.
Maybe in 2 years, some kind of, I mean, I'm not a merchandiser, but something advertising it more that
You know,
this potentially look towards the future. Of the city or something. Yeah, I'm
Let's
sorry.
focus on the question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I got off
I
track.
didn't go into discussion and then.
I had some questions.
We're also gonna be very disappointed in this upcoming election with the amount of people who vote.
Okay,
I mean, that's,
let's keep it, just a match, just for the topic and keeping on track.
that's sort of. what
I know,
the
no, you're
topic-
with it is, but
It is, but, you know, people, maybe they're too busy or this. It's really, that's a tough question to answer.
I know, that's why I said outside.
thanks for bringing it up.
Right?
Okay,
Steph, can I respond just briefly
Yeah.
on the Main Street Ohio
Main Street Ohio
initiative?
question,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's not solely a city initiative. It's a group of stakeholders that are interested in the revitalization of our square. So it's a number of businesses, including the city, who are on Main Street coming together. I don't know if you remember, you asked a question about this. Gosh, like the first meeting I ever saw you at a few years ago, you were like, why is Medina so great? And why is Worcester so great? And I was like, those are all Main Street communities.
Right.
And so we are working to become a Main Street community. And it's something that I am leading as me. But it is not fully a city, like the city will support it, I am hoping. And they've been at the table, but it's not like a city initiative. It's a Main Street stakeholder initiative.
So I didn't hear it. Okay.
Okay, Mr. McAdams.
Good evening, Ken McAdams, 1101 Woodrow Street, Northwest. I want to keep this short. 20 years that I've lived in this city, something that came to my attention that I've never seen before. I recently obtained Chamber of Commerce North Canton Meets Candidates Night and election campaign flyer from a currently sitting city council member running to retain an at-large seat. According to the North Canton codified ordinances, specifically section 111.05, communication with constituents, use of city resources is limited regarding outside communications. My question to you is this: is the use of an official city email address in violation of this section regarding communication with constituents, seeing as how it is directly printed on a campaign flyer? If that is the case, I intend to make a formal public records request with the Clerk of Council to view any and all emails from this person pertaining to campaign committee, or the upcoming election from a reasonable period dating, say, August 1st to present day, to verify that there are no election campaign discussions in their city email. Thank you.
All right, department reports, Mayor Stroya.
All right, yeah, Liam, I just want to reiterate that we do appreciate all the work that you've done and the staff on the survey. And it really does produce valuable information. I just wish we could find a better way to increase participation. I had lunch and a tour with Dr. Collins over at Walsh College at Walsh University. Geez, that's my age right there. And I just want to kind of reiterate what an excellent university that is. It's been a while since I had the full tour of the buildings and everything, and we are blessed to have that in our backyard. And anything we can do to foster that relationship, I'm all for. So you know, when we talked about the survey and getting their feedback, I don't know what the answer is if we do it as a full survey, but it sure would be nice to use the data to capture what they're thinking. Because we do kind of miss the boat on those 2,100 students that frequent all our businesses and participate in our community. So that would be great to know more about them. And their habits and what they want and what they need. So go Vikings, home playoff game. That's exciting. So then I just wanted to say thank you to Holly, Matt, and Ken for speaking. And that academy, I've heard nothing but good things. And I kind of wish that I could have participated in it from hearing all the stories of the involvement that you guys had. It's incredible. I hope we continue that in some way, shape, or form. It just seems really valuable, and it seems like it had all of the participants buy-in. So appreciate that and all the people that participated in it. I think that's all I have.
Okay. Director of Administration.
Thank you. I wanted to just welcome our new female firefighter, Allison, that we swore in, another strong female on the North Canton team. So it was great to see that. Today also, some of us were here, we went to the Acme grand reopening and cut that ribbon, and that was nice to see progress in the city there. You know, we complimented them on being in this community since 1979. You know, they've outlived a lot of other grocery stores around them. And so that was nice to speak with them and see the multi-million-dollar investment that they've done in that store. Again, CLA grads, great job. Thank you for your time. You guys gave a lot of your own time to come to this. And, you know, it is part of understanding the process, and you wanted to understand it and you got involved. And that's what's important in a community. Like we're talking about these survey responses and so many people that aren't saying, you know, too much or asking the questions or getting involved, but you did. And so I think you got to see and learn what I already know, that we have outstanding employees in the city of North Canton. They know their jobs well, they do their jobs well, and you got to see that firsthand, and that was great. Also, just on the projects, you know, Ken, your street's looking good. So we are done with Woodrow. It is back to being a Woodrow with lots of nice trees. Finished that up last week. You can still see what's going on across the street over there as well with Price. You know, it's moving along great. The weather's really been in the favor lately to get that concrete done. You saw hydro seeding went down today. You saw that before it got dark out. So still moving on that. I also want to remind everybody that I think it's today, the 27th, begins collection on the leaf recycle program, the fall leaf program. So, you know, you still can get your free bags by stopping into Muller True Value, and that goes October 27th and it ends on December 2nd on your regular trash collection day. You place the paper bags at the curb. Do not put them, they will not be picked up if they're in plastic bags. So that's just another nice thing we do as a community. Don't have to do, but we do, and everybody enjoys it. We do it every year during this defined period. So make sure you utilize that. And that's all I have.
If I could interrupt again, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I skipped
You're
over.
the mayor, you can do whatever you want.
Well, that's not true at all. Yeah, I skipped over Acme. And if you guys have not been there since they redesigned, first of all, thank you for a $10 million expansion. But the little details that they have in that place, the streets, the aisles are named after our streets. The deli is named after the lady that runs it. It's very impressive, and the layout is fantastic. So just wanted to say thank you to the Albright family and all their staff.
Deputy Director.
I was gonna just talk briefly about public participation and maybe linking the survey and CLA a little bit. So to quote Councilman Peters, I've been doing this a long time too. I think I'm getting close to 30 years in public service. Been to a lot of public meetings, talked to a lot of citizens, talked to a lot of elected officials. I wouldn't be discouraged by the NAs in the survey or by the response rate. Like people I've found, I mean, they're gonna come out or respond to things when they feel strongly. I think it's easy when we get in these spaces to forget there's a whole world going on out there with schools and activities and the latest TikTok video and all the other things. That's probably more the 18 to 24 group, that compete for people's participation. So I wouldn't be discouraged by that. And I do think that NAs, and this is the tie into the CLA, government is kind of a black box for a lot of people. They know that we provide police and fire, that we have something to do with the water that they drink maybe. But I think that a lot of people, if they put NA, they really aren't sure. They maybe don't truly know what to do for Main Street. And I think that's an opportunity for all of us to encourage them or to find tangible ways to get them to participate. The other thing I was going to say on CLA, and I hope this was the case for the participants, and I am a little biased, but I hope that it helped to humanize local government employees, because you guys know this, but we are pretty much for the most part regular people. I think sometimes people watch the national news, which I get, and when they hear government official, they picture people in the halls of power in Washington, D.C. And sure, there are some people in those positions, but Brian Hill, Steve Schenk, our police and fire, EMS, dispatch, and a lot of the rest of us are just regular people trying to provide services like any business would. So as we kind of rethink the program, and maybe one thing we have talked about is maybe to make it a little bit pithier and not as much of a time commitment, but hopefully still provide a feel for the breadth and depth of what the city does. So those were just a couple of my thoughts on both of those things.
Okay, finance. Okay, Council Clerk?
I feel I've spoken more than I usually do, so I'll just yield back my time.
I appreciate that. Council reports, Ward 1.
Thank you. You know, I came with a list of things this evening, but they're slowly getting checked off, so it's going to be considerably smaller than when we started. I am going to dovetail though in with what the mayor said and congratulate the football team, because I did want to add on, I had the opportunity to meet a really interesting gentleman, was it a week or two ago? His name is Jim Holm, and the lady who goes to our church helped him author a book. And I told her, I thought it was pretty cool, and I was going to share it here. So it has to do with 100 years of North Canton Hoover High School football. So the books are available, and from what I'm seeing, all proceeds will be donated to the Susan B. Foundation. So yeah, so I just thought that was pretty cool. He's a really interesting guy, and so I thought I wanted to share that. What do you get? Well, I think he's about my dad's age, or what my dad was doing. 90s. Oh, okay, he's older than my dad. Writing books. Wow. I thought that was pretty cool, so he was a neat guy.
He's doing a book signing at New Berlin, watch for that.
Oh, thank you, okay, so there you go, a book signing in New Berlin, so.
I don't know, she didn't tell me.
With that, if I'm gonna say something about the football team, I gotta say something about the band and marching band who got a superior rating at state marching band competition, so. And so now that concludes our school board portion of the evening. So wanted to just, again, touch on leaves. So Catherine brought up, I'm gonna add a different tack to it, because I'm one of those guys who uses my tractor to suck up the leaves. So I don't know if anybody else does that. I'm too lazy to rake them. But actually, where is the little thing here? So as Catherine says, it starts on the 27th. However, if you have grass clippings in your bags, I found this out the hard way, you can't put them out with the leaves. So what you have to do is you have to write bag contains grass. So just a little helpful tip so nobody gets surprised when their bags do not get picked up. So right, bag contains grass. So Acme today. Like the others have said, pretty cool to see the revamped Acme. Thought that was pretty neat, and welcome or congratulations on their new grand reopening. Last thing I just wanted to touch on, Civic Leadership Academy. I think it's been awesome to see you guys be a part of it. Certainly want to thank our in-house staff who've conducted it. So thank you so very much. But the other thing I want to share is that, and certainly this dovetails in with the season that we're in right now. It's been nice seeing people at the council meetings. I hope you continue to come back. And this goes for the people who'll be on the ballot in another week. I wish everybody congratulations, and whether it goes the way you do, or you'd like it to go, or it doesn't, I certainly hope you come back and join us for more council meetings. So
With that, I'm done. Okay, Ward 2, Mr. Matheny.
Okay, get some notices up here. I have 3 individuals that we'd like to recognize, and it was already mentioned, our new full-time paramedic and firefighter Allison Stoll is now joining the team. I also want to give a shout out to North Canton Police Department and Sergeant Sean Patrick. Nationally recognized leadership program that he completed at the FBI LEDA triology series, 3 of them. Supervisor leadership, command leadership, and executive leadership. And together those courses form a comprehensive foundation in law enforcement leadership, emphasizing integrity, accountability, and critical role leadership in building public trust. Leadership matters in every organization, but in policing, it's essential. Poor leadership can impact morale, operations, and ultimately community confidence. And I think it's evident that our community is very confident in the police department. And a big shout out to Officer Patrick. Last one I have is also a letter of recommendation or recognition. And this one's from Brad Irvin. He is the owner of Round Table Construction Management, which may not mean anything to you, but he was involved directly throughout, it has to do with the building of the Wendy's location on Apple Grove. And he wrote to us on behalf of the work that Martin Van Gundy did for their work. So throughout the building process of the new Wendy's on 203 Apple Grove Street, Martin was consistently refreshing, knowledgeable, supportive, and engaging. This Wendy's project was the first project of its kind in Ohio, was successfully completed under the guidance of Martin's team. Martin was always available for on-site meetings, and even took calls after hours to brainstorm solutions with my team and our architects. His insight and guidance were crucial in the successful completion of the 2-story Wendy's. I don't know if you knew that or not. The company has worked with numerous municipalities, and it's rare to find someone so willing to collaborate on construction issues, working through solutions until a resolution is found that meets or exceeds code compliance, while providing a cost-effective solution for our client. And we wanted to recognize that there was an elevator issue that needed to be resolved, and that's just a testament to the quality of people that work here in North Canton. We should be proud of. We're just ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Yeah, if you recall, they built that on the Cutler Building Foundation. Remember, so they could retain that basement, so there was no elevator. They had to put one in, and that took a lot. They had to have an elevator consultant and a lot of work, and they built all over the state of Ohio. And they said that about Marty Van Gundy, which was huge. We know we have a good guy.
Great. Okay, Ward 3, Melissa Owens.
Yeah, not too much. I thank you to Liam for sharing the survey results. I like the Walsh question that came up tonight. I think exploring a separate survey to get feedback from that community is really a smart thing to do. And I like your committee idea. I think it's the right way to think about it when we look at like how can we make our survey better, get more response every single year. And there's a lot of different things that you can do. And then going back to the Civic Leadership Academy, just want to recognize that that is evidence of the kind of culture that exists in the city administration right now. I remember when you came, you and Ben and a few others pitched that idea and said like, hey, we have this cool idea we want to try. We don't know how it's going to go. But you, instead of, being afraid of something new or different that may or may not work, you championed that your team taking that on. It's awesome that you jumped in there and took over, provided more opportunities for everybody. So I think like it's just a little bit of evidence of what we've seen of that culture and administration. So just wanted to recognize that.
It's okay. Ward 4, John.
Okay. Thank you for all that you guys came and all the Civic Leadership Academy. Thank you, Liam.
Absolutely.
As I'm out walking, knocking, and talking, this past month, I probably talked to 1,500 homeowners. They love our town. I ask them, the ones I talk to, I ask them, where'd you come from? and I was sort of shocked. There's a younger population moving into the fourth ward. And I think it was Friday or Saturday, I talked to 10 people that just moved in recently in the last couple of years from New Philadelphia in the Dover area. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a nice area down there. And they're moving up this way. We have I think with your survey, we're doing a real good job in the city. Our streets aren't up to our specs, but they're 10 times better than any other street or any other parts of the county. The only thing the citizens I've talked to, they're a little, I'll say, uneducated in the fact of knowing city government. I've invited many people to our meetings. Well, I listen online, they tell me and stuff, and I know we don't have that many people listening online or emailing. So, but they're concerned a little bit with, what about the Hoover Company? And I go, what do you know about the Hoover Company? All right. Well, it's a disgrace. It's just sitting there empty. I go, no, it isn't empty. You know, it's pretty well full to the south side. Pretty well, you know, all the areas are pretty full, except the part that faces City Hall. You know, Diebold's brought all those jobs in, and hopefully maybe the world headquarters, maybe they might be the answer. I don't know. But, and some people go, really? Is that true? You know, they didn't even know, they think we own it. No, we don't own it. They pay their taxes. We find them. They're up to date on everything. And, you know, I don't know what else to tell them, you know, but they've got to be talked to, all the constituents out there. They've got to be invited to council. But that was, you know, I learned about a deer that was dead in someone's backyard. I've learned that Stark Parks isn't really cutting that stuff off of Linwood. I want to dive a little bit deeper into that. But, you know, they cut it real nice and they let it grow out there, and there's a lot of deer living in there. That's one thing I want to bring if elected next year. We've got to do something to maybe control the deer and see what some other cities have done. We might say, it's a problem. It's one of the three big problems out there that we have. So I want to take a little bit of time and see what other cities have done and go from there. Other than that, have we heard anything else from the Monticello people? Monticello, that they put up the electric fence. Is that taken down now?
It was Auburn. It's been down.
And, oh, okay, Auburn knows, I know it's around.
I think they took it down like that week.
Okay, no problem.
I didn't see it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good. But that's all my report. Thank you.
Thank you. At large, Mr. Peters?
No report other than to thank Liam for his efforts in the survey. I think when you look at it a little closer over time, you're gonna get a little more out of that. What do you think?
Absolutely. And we'll be looking at it over the next 2 years and going back to it and referencing things and.
Yeah.
I did have one note to that. It was the section, if you spend $10, what would you spend it on? And the rental facilities was the lowest in the city. I'm not sure if I'm reading this correctly, but most of our rental facilities are out for what, 8 months?
Oh, yeah, they're full of lots.
Oh, yeah, most of them are pretty booked.
Yeah, so there is, it'd be really almost to the point where we probably need more. Or we could, if we put more up, those would be filled out 8 months as well. So I was a little curious to that. Other than maybe some of the other options were more appealing to, you know, their dollar.
And especially with the rental facilities, without pulling data, I would say, especially from May to August or September, you can't get a day with graduation party season. And those fill up, so people will call us. I staff the front desk every now and then to cover lunches and stuff, and people calling like, can I get any of these this weekend or next weekend? Oh, we're booked out clear till the end of the season, basically. But yeah, I think it's interesting that though those are frequently rented, it is interesting that people wouldn't want to invest money into it compared to something else.
But if it's user specific, right,
Mhm.
then,
Yeah.
then
Okay,
that means
fair.
that, like, I've never rented them. I would never put $10 towards that because I don't use them.
That's okay.
So it's, if you're using it, if you've seen them, and then a lot of times you go to it, you're, they seem good.
Oh, yeah,
I had a party, I had cake,
yeah,
and they're very reasonable.
they are.
Yep,
You know,
$10 an hour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was good work.
All right. Member Wyrick?
Yeah, so I'll just echo everyone. Thanks to Liam for the survey. I know how much work it was. I saw you out sitting in the heat collecting, and I know I was sitting in the heat at all those events too, so it is not comfortable, but thank you for doing that. Congrats to all of the CLA graduates, and just thanks to the city for developing that program. I really do hope that maybe it becomes a new council member orientation too, that, you know, council's going through it. I know it's a huge commitment, but, and I know we do a lot of that whenever we come on, but I feel like it would be great for all of us to have that opportunity too. And then kind of moving on to just kind of some really great things that have happened in the last week. We last week had an opportunity to meet with the CEO of Diebold Nixdorf. They invited us into their world headquarters, and we viewed their customer experience center and their service operations hub, and saw just kind of the technology that they're using. Learned that, you know, Aldi is using everything that Aldi's using at their self-checkouts is made right here in North Canton, and just really grateful for the investment that Diebold has made in our city. And then today, I did have an opportunity to attend the ribbon cutting at Acme and talk with the Albrechts, and it's funny, my mom called me Saturday and was like, "You've been to the new Acme?" And I was like, "Not yet." And she's like, "You have to go. It's so nice. It's great." So I went and did shopping Saturday, and then being there today, just being able to celebrate them was, it was really nice. That's all.
Okay. Again, thank you to the CLA. Having been in leadership development for the past almost 20 years, it was really neat to see that. And when I first started with Leadership Star County, we had a government academy, and we would connect everybody from really all over the county to meet during this time period. And for those ideas to share, and for people to learn about the different aspects, and to kind of like you said, Holly, to have that talk-a-toy moment, it changes your direction, and it changes maybe areas you want to get more involved in. And it gives you certainly appreciation, which you all shared. And I like how you said everybody's names. Not everyone always gets recognized, and that's important. I think that's it from me right now.
Madam President, can I ask a question?
Yes.
I rarely read anything really long, and you know, somebody that used to sit over here did that a lot. But there's something that, can I read something?
Yeah.
At the end to close with. I follow a local government blogger, and I was thinking of things when we were talking about the survey, and I heard the word apathy, and I heard about public servants and your participation, and it's kind of apropos. Can I read something?
Go right ahead.
It's just too and this is how it goes.
I
It
can
says,
vouch for it.
they didn't come to the meeting, they didn't fill out the survey, they didn't attend the open house or read the long, boring newsletter when we explained the change before it ever happened. But when the problem finally reached them, when the trash wasn't picked up on time, when the park became run down, when the streets became bad, they came in swinging, with rage, with accusations. How could this happen? What are we paying for? Why don't you people ever listen? It didn't matter that the issue was caused by the very apathy that preceded the anger. It didn't matter that the budget was cut because the bond failed, that the staff position was eliminated because no one defended it. No one wanted to hear that, because hearing it would mean accepting a deeper truth, that it isn't just a government problem, it's a civic one. And it lives in the silence of the uninvolved until it explodes into the noise of the outraged. Somewhere along the way, we stopped teaching that democracy is participation, not performance, that citizenship is responsibility, not just reaction, that the right to be heard comes not just from shouting loud, but from showing up. Because the truth is, you can't ghost the process and then rage the result. You can't avoid the work and still expect the reward. You can't abandon your civic duty and then claim moral high ground when something breaks. We are being drowned in a culture of apathy fueled by unawareness and enabled by convenience. People want full services on half facts. They want accountability without contribution. And it's not just wrong, it's corrosive. It breaks down the social contract. It degrades public servants. It breeds mistrust where humility and partnership should live. Local government isn't perfect. We're not, but we're still showing up every day. We're still answering calls from people who won't answer surveys. Still working late to fix problems they didn't cause. For residents who don't want to hear an explanation, only an apology. We can do better, but only if we remember that self-governance doesn't mean screaming loud. It means showing up and getting involved, like our people who came into our CLA. Blame is easy, but ownership and participation, that's where communities are born again. So I thought it was appropriate.
That was really
Thank
good.
you for the indulgence.
Good, yes. Kind of like that man in the arena quote.
Kind of, yeah.
On that note, when is our next meeting? Everybody can come and join us.
Right.
Join us.
Yes,
So
get
the meeting
involved.
calendar, we will meet November 10th, committee of the whole November 17th, council public speaks, and that'll do it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?